Honoring the
Nalagi
presence
si
of...
Bak Dilgi.
Asa man?
Tinapmuhok ang buhok ba?
Meron nga, ma-document o kapil.
Only to the UP Cebu Fine Arts Program, but to the...
So please bear with me. Professor Raymond Fernandez, born, ako isulti, 1955, educator, a visual artist in sculpture and in illustration, performance artist, and art historian, has studied under Martino Abellana at the Fine Arts Program of the University of the Philippines, Cebu, a year after the art program was offered in 1975. Early on, as a student at UP, he was concerned with art's social dimension, investigating how the social and political conditions shaped artistic practice. After studying modernist movements, particularly Dada and Surrealism, he initiated, together with fellow student Roy Lumagbas, the Mind Works Art Festival, which showcases art installations, performances, and other experimental ways of doing art. The Mind Works challenged the conservatism of art in Cebu and responded to the social and political events of the day. In 1981, he started lecturing in UP as a photography instructor and later on was tasked to handle the subjects of Martino Abellana when the latter became ill. He would be asked to visit Abellana in his house in Karkar so that the maestro can give Fernandez pointers on how to teach Abellana's classes. This episode allowed him to see clearly the mind and heart of the maestro, his hopes and aspirations for his students and for Cebuano. Becoming full-time member of the faculty in 1983, Fernandez taught a wide range of subjects including techniques, materials, art history and theory classes for both the studio arts and product design tracks. As a professor, Fernandez is concerned with non-traditional ways of making art. He was influential in the development of modern conceptual and performance art in Cebu. He has been involved in the programming of MindWorks since his inception in 1980, allowing students to explore experimental and conceptual ways to express their artistic ideas. He later formed the performance art group SO, together with Winston Velez, Oliver Sevilla, Grace Compuesto, Leo Dinorte, Frederick Delmar, Nino Bring, Chai Fonashir, Budoy Marabiles, and Russ Ligtas. The group explored liveness, physical movement, and impermanence as alternatives to the static presence of painting and sculpture. With his gentle demeanor and sharpness of artistic vision, Fernandez can easily rally colleagues and students to participate in collaborative projects and activities. He was instrumental in organizing PUSOD, the open organization of Cebu Visual Artists Incorporated, and the organization spearheaded the Visayas Islands Visual Arts Exhibition and Conference, or VIVA-X-Con, in 1998, 2008, and 2010 in Cebu City. In the early 2000s, he also opened Luna Art Space, an artist-run space organizing community projects and art initiatives with his wife Stella Ocampo Fernandez.
Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Raymond Fernandez.
First of all, I would like to thank Chancellor Leo Malagar and the Vice Chancellors of UP Cebu. I would like to congratulate this various changes that I've seen. I would like to thank as well the College of Communication Art and Design Dean Shane Carian, who I saw earlier. I would like to thank as well the deans of the other colleges who are here. Then I would like to thank these projects to some extent. And by mothering, I mean that Jay Ore was part of mothering also my one-person show, because he managed to arrange it that it would be held at the Cube Contemporary Gallery. Well, especially my fellow retiree JV, because, you know, it, they kind of, I feel a little bit unworthy for the list of achievements that Palmy listed, because I have never really been able to do anything alone. For instance, when Palmy mentions the industrial design program, she does not mention that she was also part of arranging the curriculum. That stuff, which people often reduce into by the name clerical work. You know, it's a male-oriented society. I have to tell you, and I just have to say this, that none of my achievements could have worked without the others, without people, and especially women who were not unwilling to sit down in front of the computer and write all those syllabi, because when you change curricula, for instance, of any program here, all those syllabi have to be written down, and you know, I would not have the energy to write all of those things, and I would like to thank especially Palme Petutut. Of course, my wife is Stella Ocampo Fernandez, and I don't know who is Christy Manguera, who is not here. Behind it, I had, you know, several women, and they were not unwilling to do the work that I myself, if it were left up to me, I could not be able to do it. I could not even think about being able to do it. Do you understand? Like the industrial design program. There's no way. I would not even have begun that thing. And also that the Fab Lab, that Palmy was the one who pushed me to do those proposals. And unfortunately, she left for Australia. And by the time that the Fab Lab was actually open, she was still, I believe she was still in Australia. And we would drive in the motorcycle to Karkar. And then I remember one time, Jay, when we returned and the rain fell, napami sa San Fernando, the rain, it was like a heavy downpour. And the motorcycle was like skidding all over the shiny asphalt that was there. And every time I accelerated, the two of us would be shaking where we were, and it was such a terrible trip. But for us, it was like, okay, Abiliano was sick, and he really wanted to see us, the both of us. And JV was also instrumental in, as well as Carl, in the MindWorks program of UP, and I hope the MindWorks program will continue. I will not say that it was an easy task educating you guys. It was very difficult. You know, if I was just teaching another subject instead of the fine arts, it would have been easier for me because I can stick by the syllabus. But if you teach a class of artists, you have to know them one by one, and you have to understand their vulnerabilities, because you do not want to change the artist. You want her or his art to grow, and that's a very difficult task, because if you overteach, that means if you over criticize the work in order to make it better, there is a very high chance that you will destroy the urge of that artist to create his or her own art. And that is really what we want to do. The problem, I'm not saying that it's instead of artists. We become impressionists, we become surrealists, we become dadaists, which is not the point of art. Because while we should learn from these art movements and read up on them, those art movements are actually dead. And if you read contemporary Philippine criticism, they are mentioned as a dead thing. Nobody goes, Banksy doesn't go around telling people that he is a surrealist, although he is using the surrealist resources. And so I am going to express now what I've learned over time, thinking about art. And then that would end the speech. But before I say that, I would like to congratulate especially my students, in a book by Kurt Vonnegut, which is called The Breakfast of Champions. I suggest that you read the book. By the end of the book, I am going to, what do you call that when you tell people the ending? I'm going to do a spoiler on Kurt Vonnegut's The Breakfast of Champions, because at the end of the book, Kurt Vonnegut actually speaks with the main character of the book. And he goes, the author, Kurt Vonnegut, is speaking with, I forgot the name of that main character, but he's talking to the main character. And then he tells the main character, I'm going to end this by setting you free. I'm going to end this by setting you free. And what the main character says to Kurt Vonnegut is, I want to be young again. And I have the same feeling now because I'm looking at generations of students that I taught, and I kind of like, and I look at your art and I see how good it is and how young you are, and it doesn't make me feel good. In fact, it makes me feel obviously envious. I wish I were young again, and then I could beat you, but perhaps not, diba? Because over time, I was having a talk with Charlie Po and Stella and some friends, and they said, we were asking ourselves, so what does, because Bacolod is a very nice art scene, Dumaguete as well, but Cebu is a special place. And we were asking, so why are we special? And I concluded, and this is what I said to people, that the reason why Bacolod and Cebu have a very strong art scene is because they have old artists. They have grown old artists, and those old artists are very important because while you love them or hate them, and I'm sure that a lot of people do, hate me as well, because you cannot always all love somebody, especially somebody with white hair. But that's the reason why we're strong, and you yourselves eventually you will come to my age and think how many you are. Think how big the army is. And this army is going to grow old like me, and yet then you're going to be producing old art that young people will rebel against. Do you understand? They will rebel against, that they will critique, and then they will say, I can do something better than that. And that is how culture and the art moves. But I'm going to end now after contemplating my life and contemplating the kind of artist I want to be and what I should call my art. I have decided that what I'm going to call my art is contemporary Bisaya realism, or kontemporaryong kamatuurang Bisaya. And if you do abstractionism, then you should call yourself kontemporaryong Bisayang abstractionist or abstract. Kontemporaryong Bisayang abstract. And remember that since you own the Bisaya language, then you can spell it any way you like. I would go, abstract would be ABSTRAK. But you can spell it any way you like. When we start, you see, calling ourselves by who we truly are, we release ourselves from the constraints, from the boxes that have contained us, that still contain many of us. And those boxes are really, the art movements, I have to tell you, because the art movements, if you go abroad, nobody cares about the art movements anymore. The art movements are important only for study, only because you want and you need to read up on how international art got here. But when you describe yourself, you cannot describe yourself by a box. Because as soon as you tell people, I am a surrealist, and then they are going to say, oh, Salvador Dali, oh, Rene Magritte. And then you will lose something. Thank you very much. And I am so honored. Thank God I didn't cry. Diba? I was thinking that I was really going to do that. But thank you. Thank you. I am touched. I don't think I deserve it.
Because we have over 70 friends.
Hey.